All right, everyone, let's get started. We'll have you take your seats. I promised 12 o'clock, and I plan to keep my commitment. Welcome to the Rose Festival Honors, presented by Wells Fargo. I am your host, Marlo Eckert. I'm a Rose Festival board member and also a past court member. Thank you. Couple past princesses here. Thank you for being here, whether you're in the room or looking through our live look into the window into the room. It feels good to be here, doesn't it? It's nice to see people. Good to be in person. Thank you for being here. We're so grateful to have you with us as we honor leadership, the empowerment of women, and the impactment that mentorship has. And hopefully this is inspiring throughout the entire program that we have set for the next hour. Before we start, we have many special people here with us today, including Rose Festival President Dave Todd, Rose Festival CEO Jeff Curtis, the 2022 Rose Festival Court with their Unitas Community Credit Union mentors, the Prime Minister of the Royal Rosarians, Dwight Terry, our 2019 honoree Sheila Holden, and our 2020 honoree Marsha Randall. Now we can clap. I also want to thank our committee chairwoman, Natasha Holstein, for joining us virtually, and thank you to everyone for being here and to support the Rose Festival. Speaking of support, I want to recognize today's sponsors. Our presenting sponsor, Wells Fargo, has a gift for you at your table. It's those little white bags that you had at your seat. And our guests 21 and over will receive a gift from Chloe Wines to take home with you as you leave. We also want to thank, very nice. Thank you to our supporting sponsors, the U.S. Army, and the table sponsors, PNC Bank and CARE Oregon. We'd also like to thank the Floral Design Institute for always providing beautiful floral decor. Part of our goal today's event is to raise funds for the Rose Festival, to continue its work with young women, and to continue the events and programs that are put on for the Portland community through the arts, volunteerism, and education, all important values of the Portland Rose Festival Foundation. Don't forget that the foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit, and our support comes from commitments from our corporate partners, our events customers, and generous donors like yourselves and me. So quick poll for the audience. This is the only participation you need so far. Raise your hand if your employer matches charitable donations. Mine does. Anyone else's? Excellent. Great. You guys can double your impact today, so think about that while you are looking to make a donation to the Rose Festival. So we'll be hearing some inspiring stories today, and one of those events that we encourage you to give when you feel that you are inspired. So we want it to make it as easy as possible, and so to help make donations convenient, safe, and secure, there are QR codes on your table as well as in your program, and for the QR code, you just open up your smartphone to your camera app, and you have your QR code in focus. Don't take a picture, just in focus. And once that camera registers the QR code, it will take you directly to our landing page to give you the opportunity to donate directly to that page. And if you have a flip phone like me, there are some envelopes on the table that you can place your check. And that's not a joke, that is a true fact. Rose Festival representatives will be available to collect those at the end of our program, so it'll be safe and secure for those as well. And of those watching virtually, you also have the option to donate, and you can visit rosefestival.org to make your donation through the donation button. We have some suggested amounts of gifts on the donation page, including $115, which represents $1 for every year the Rose Festival has been a Portland tradition. And it also helps with the huge reunion festival that we're staging for our 115th year. We are grateful for every gift, regardless of the amount, because every single dollar makes a difference. We're also encouraging donations to be made in honor of or in memory of someone that is important to you. So please make that note in the comments section when you're making your online donation. The Rose Festival the Rose Festival Honors Committee is proud to have chosen the Honorable Barbara Roberts as our honoree this year, but you can choose someone who's meaningful to you and perhaps a mentor or a leadership figure in your life that you would like to honor today. And speaking of which, and here's our honoree. You'll be hearing some reoccurring themes in today's program, including leadership and inspiration. Our 2022 honoree, the Honorable Barbara Roberts, has an outstanding legacy in leadership in Oregon, but not just in political office. We've been inspired by her advocacy for special needs children, women in public policy, human rights, and these are just a few of the things that she has accomplished and has had much influence over. And did you know that she was also the co-Grand Marshal of the Grand Floral Parade with Governor Kate Brown in 2015? Fun fact. Let's hear a little bit about her with this video.
I grew up in a small town in Yamhill County. I couldn't look anywhere and see women on the school board, see women business owners, certainly no women accountants or doctors or anything like that. I went to my local community library and I found books about Amelia Earhart and her famous flight, Mrs. Roosevelt, the wife of the president. My little small hometown library became my first mentor. And I went there to learn about women who did unusual things, extraordinary things, special things. And out of that came a wish, a little bit of a dream that maybe I could do something important one day.
Well, I'm glad to say that Barbara is a huge fan of the Oregon Historical Society, and we're a fan of hers because she's made so much history. She was the first woman to serve as the leader of her party's caucus in the Oregon House of Representatives. She was the second woman, the first Democrat ever elected to be Secretary of State, and of course, the first woman to serve as governor of Oregon.
When I see a cause that is being ignored, and it started with my older son who is autistic and was not allowed to go to school when he was a little boy, and that was a cause. My son was being rejected from the public school system. Just try to imagine this young woman walking up the Capitol steps with no knowledge about the legislature, no expertise, scared to death, no money. And I walked up those Capitol steps and changed the lives eventually of thousands of children in our state and their families. I found out my voice mattered. I found out I could make a difference in the legislature, that I could learn to do something I'd never done before. And that's what moves me. It's the cause that allows my voice to be used to help others, to change the situation that others find themselves in. It's not because I'm a do-gooder. It's because it moves me. It just moves me to see a person suffering and there's a way to fix it. And so I sometimes turn into the fixer.
One of the great things about Barbara is that she constantly reaches out to the next generation and the next generation of leaders. She is a role model for Oregon women. There are so many Oregon women who entered public service or got appointed to the judiciary because of Governor Roberts.
I will notice the young woman who speaks well, the young woman who's a student body president. I began to watch women of color and see them stepping into different parts of the community than they had previously. So part of my mentorship comes from my I think being able to identify a young woman with potential, and then I get interested. I want to say, so what are you going to do next? What comes after this? And they'll say, well, I wish I could do what you do, but you know, I could never stand on the stage and give my opinion about something. And then I say, why? Why can't you? Why don't we talk about how you can do that? I have been involved in so many women's campaigns over the last 40 years, women running for county clerk and Congress and the legislature and City Hall, and I've given them a lot of advice. The Rose Festival Parade, it's big, it's showy, it's floral, it's horses and wagons, it's bicycles, and it is everything, and it shows Oregon off at its best. And one of the things that always attracted me when I was a young woman was watching Every day in the paper, when a new article came out about a new Rose Festival princess, and I remember watching those young women named day after day in the paper until there was a Rose Festival queen. And then to be included, to be part of that parade, and Kate Brown and I rode in the parade together. The Rose Festival parade, though it's here in Portland, the people who take part in it are from all over the state. Their bands or their musical groups or their marching groups, and become part of this. It's one of the few places I know where the whole state comes together and celebrates.
If there was one word that I had to use to describe Barbara Roberts, it would be indomitable, because she doesn't quit. She doesn't stop. And she's got a cause, she's got a candidate she believes in, she's got women she needs to help. She's not going to stop.
Most people think I came from Portland, grew up here, went to school here. Not so. I grew up in the town of Sheridan, a very small town, less than 2,000 people. And one important thing about me came out of that. I found out if you want something to happen, you had to step up and make it happen.
I am pleased to introduce Denise Harvey, Councilwoman with the Confederate Tribes of Grand Ronde, joined by Jocelyn Hoffman from Spirit Mountain Casino with an extra special element of today's board presentation.
Good afternoon, and thank you. I just want to say it's an honor to be here and to recognize Barbara Roberts. She's such an inspiration for all of us, all women, and I'm very honored as the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde that she grew up in our community. And for someone of her leadership from so long ago to come out of a rural community like that is such an inspiration for our young women and our people that live in those rural communities that think, as she mentioned in her video, that you think you got to come from the big city, but you don't. You just have to have a passion and a voice, and you can do anything that you put your mind to doing. And I would like to also honor, this is about mentorship, and as I was sitting here with Jocelyn, which is our public relations person for the Spirit Mountain Casino, we sat there and we recognized that about 18 years ago, Jocelyn was a part of my mentorship program that I ran at the tribe. So I'm like, oh, well, this is just perfect. This is what, and now we have Jocelyn that has this great job and standing here with Barbara Roberts, which is just such an inspiration for each and every one of us. So we would like to honor her with a gift from the tribe, and Jocelyn's gonna help me with that. Now you have something to snuggle up and stay warm with, right?
I do.
I do.
Well, I do have someone to do that with.
Oh, okay. Well, you can share. We can share the blanket.
This is G-rated, G-rated. Let's give another round to the Honorable Barbara Roberts.
Thank you very much.
Have you stay here. Governor Roberts, on behalf of the Portland Rose Festival Foundation, we'd like to thank you for our leadership by presenting you with this award as our 2020 Rose Festival honoree, which Queen Lily will present to you. Thank you. It is beautiful, isn't it?
So unique.
Thank you.
Would you like me to sing? Thank you very much for your warm applause. your reaction to the video. I'm thrilled about the blanket. The Grunran tribe is like home for me. It was so close to home while I was growing up, and I played in the hills where the casino is now and picked blackberries up in those hills, and it's like home, and the blanket is very, very special. And I know when it gets wrapped around your shoulders, it has something to do with commitment. And so I have commitment with the tribe, and I'm honored to have that semblance of it with the blanket. I want to say how honored I am to receive this award from the Rose Festival Association and all of its arms. There's so many parts of it, but I want to say that I'm particularly honored because one of the things that keeps me going, keeps me from retiring and going home and just doing nothing, are young women. I watch them when they run for office. I watch them when they graduate, and I've given a graduation speech, and I love to watch those young women as they come across the stage, especially the ones who know how to shake hands. But I figure they're on their way already. So I have had the honor with Special Olympics, with the Girl Scouts, where I do a lot of work still, with the Center for Women's Leadership at Portland State University, where every year we take about 50 women to the state capitol and teach them about state government. And I do the grand tour of the building. And so it's always been my sort of job to host all those young women. And so I spend a couple of days with them, watching them and evaluating them and talking to them about their dreams. So I believe in dreams. The Rose Festival itself is a dream. It's like a dream every year. The flowers, the people, the horses, the wagons, whatever it is, it's like a dream. It's like a movie come alive. And that's what I want to happen to the young women of this state and the mature women of this state who maybe earlier in their life didn't have those opportunities, and maybe those opportunities are available now. I want them to feel that there is a dream worth working for and worth evaluating the rest of your life around. So look in every direction, talk to people who lead, and figure out what makes them a leader, not just a speaker about leadership, but someone who actually leads. The opportunity is there for all of us, male or female, but I especially give my priority, if you will, to the women, to the sisters, young and old, who work for a better community, who work for a better state, who work for a better world. And I'm happy to be there, mentoring all the way. Thank you so much.
Next, we added something new to our program, a brand new award designed to acknowledge up-and-coming leaders making an impact in our community. Today, we present our first Emerging Leaders Award to someone with a very inspiring story. A few months ago, our committee learned about Neil Jane, a senior at Westview High School, who started a nonprofit organization called PDX Concierge, a free delivery service in 2020. Neil saw a need and addressed it, and enlisted the volunteer help of other high school students to get groceries and necessities delivered to homes of elderly and immunocompromised individuals during the pandemic. Among his team of volunteers is Princess Isabel, the Metro East Princess from Nelson High School. This leadership effort not only earned our attention, but our admiration, because making our community a better place is something that's part of the Rose Festival's legacy. Neil, please join us on stage so Queen Lily can present the first ever Emerging Leaders Award to you on behalf of the Portland Rose Festival Foundation.
Thank you.
All right, everyone got their photos? Excellent. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you so much.
The stories of leadership from Governor Roberts and Mr. Jane are inspiring, and I am glad we're able to acknowledge these incredible individuals and their contributions here today. To get us started, an anonymous donor has contributed $115, remember $1 every year the Rose Festival has been in existence, in honor of each of the 2020 Rose Festival court members. Please be thinking about who you'd like to honor with the contribution to the Portland Rose Festival Foundation, and when you're ready, make a donation using that QR code that's on your table or in your program. Now, I have the honor of introducing a very special guest joining us all the way from the East Coast, Major General Marty Basile of the U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command of Fort Lewis, Virginia. She has earned 4 degrees, including the Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from Oregon State University, and has an impressive career experience with leadership as a female officer in the Army. We're so grateful you could travel all the way to Oregon to share her thoughts with us. Please join us, Major General.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this incredible event. It's truly an honor. It's wonderful to be back home in Oregon. Growing up in Southern Oregon, I have fond memories of the Rose Festival, so the opportunity to say a few words and be a part of this year's event is exciting. I've had, over the course of my 34-year career, a chance to see a fair amount of the world, traveling to 3 continents, 26 different countries, and 45 of our 50 states, and including living overseas for more than 6 years. I'm sure one of these days I'll get to Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, New Hampshire, and Maine, hopefully in the summertime. However, as much as I enjoy traveling, there's nothing quite like coming home. This event gives us an opportunity to shine the spotlight on and truly honor those who exemplify the empowerment of women and the impactful role that mentorship has on personal and professional success. As someone who has spent so much time overseas in various cultures and working in a primarily male environment, I can't tell you how important that is, that we collectively honor those who continue to help everyone in our society reach their potential, both as pioneer and trailblazers and as mentors and champions. So I'd like to speak quickly on 2 points. First, empowering women, and then mentorship. The Army is committed to empowering women. Not only are women serving in every facet of the military, but women are also leading today's Army. I have commanded and led soldiers at various levels and had the honor of serving as the NATO commander in Bosnia-Herzegovina for 18 months, leading individuals from multiple countries, including Norway, Hungary, Croatia, and Turkey, just to name a few. And I'm lucky that in many of the challenges that others face, I have not. I am not the first female general officer in the United States Army. That distinction goes to Anna Mae Hayes, who was promoted to Brigadier General on June 11th, 1970, over 50 years ago. I received the same pay and benefits as my peers, and the Army is committed to providing opportunities to all. I compete for the same leadership opportunities, have access to the same mentorship programs, and receive the same leadership training as my male peers. Women in today's Army can serve in any occupational specialty and attend any school. And in fact, the Army recently celebrated the 100th female graduate of Ranger School. It has always been on the front line of social change and will continue to be so. Additionally, the Army is reducing barriers to career growth, such as enacting 12 distinct policy changes, which drastically expand pregnancy and postpartum operational and training deferments, and include such things as convalescent leave for pregnancy loss. As the Chief of Staff of the Army, General James McConville recently said, "We recruit soldiers, but we retain families." And winning the war for talent means making sure that our best and brightest people don't have to choose between service and family. And the Army is continuing to be committed to expanding opportunities and is focused on representing underrepresented segments of our society, including persons of color and females. The Army recognizes the importance of diversity and equity and inclusion as a hallmark of service. Diverse teams bring additional strengths and synergy, creating organizations that are stronger and more adaptable. I will say this landscape has changed dramatically from when I attended my first course, where I was one of only 2 women among the 90 officers of my basic course. It took more than 20 years before I had an opportunity to work for a female leader. But today, I'm proud to say we have women in a number of key positions across the United States Army, including General Laura Richardson, Commanding General of Southern Command, Lieutenant General Jody Daniels, Chief of the Army Reserve, and Lieutenant General Donna Martin, the Inspector General, among others. And in fact, on active duty alone, there are 26 female general officers. While early on in my career, I was one of the only, if not the only, woman in the room, I now regularly work with and for women and others of underrepresented populations. With regards to mentorship, while I can't understate the importance of mentors, those individuals who are sounding boards and provide career advice, I'd like to also challenge those in the room to be champions. Mentors prop you up, they help you identify your strengths and weaknesses, and they provide sage advice. But champions are even better. Champions pull you up. They provide you opportunities to develop new skills and showcase your abilities. They advocate for you, for promotion, for development opportunities, while expanding your horizons in ways you never considered. They have skin in the game because their reputation is on the line when they openly tied their credibility to you. So for those of you in the room who can, consider being a champion as well as a mentor. I'd like to close with a quick story from when I was a young lieutenant in Korea. As a helicopter pilot, we'd often fly out to remote areas so someone could attend a meeting or a conference. And there was always a common theme of what happened when we landed. The local village would hear the helicopter and gather around a safe distance outside the rotor system to see what was going on. The men would be closest to the helicopter with the women and children behind. But at some point in time after the rotor stopped, the men would either step back or the children would just surge forward, and they would come up to the aircraft so we could give them candy or let them crawl in and out of the back of the helicopter. On one particular flight, we landed at a creek bed, and I looked out and saw in front of me a young woman. She appeared to be a young adult, and I'm guessing somewhere between 16 to 18, though it was really kind of hard to tell. She had a young child clinging to her leg and a toddler on her hip. And she may have been pregnant, but my memory of that is less than clear. For all I knew, she was somebody's sister, a young mother, or somebody's nanny. And as I watched her get closer, I began taking off my gloves and my flight helmet as we do after every flight. And I've never forgotten the look on her face when she realized I was a girl flying a helicopter in her country. And she looked at me like I was a god or a superhero. Until that moment, nowhere in her wildest dreams did she ever imagine the possibility of all that she could be, of what opportunities were out there, if only she was given a chance. That's what each and every one of us needs to do. Create conditions that inspire, protect, and provide opportunities to underrepresented populations so that they too can not just dream big, but achieve those dreams. Thank you for all that you do and for allowing me to be a part of this very special event. Have a great day.
Major General Bissell, thank you for your service to our country, and thank you for speaking with us today. Now, I'd like to introduce my fellow board member, Cassie Aller, Regional Banking Senior Manager for Wells Fargo, to introduce our keynote speaker.
Only 2 steps. That's a good podium. Hello, everybody. I am certainly feeling inspired. I hope that you all are as well. My name is Cassie Aller, and I am a Regional Banking District Senior Manager for Wells Fargo Bank. My title had recently expanded, so I literally had to read it. As a board member of Portland Rose Festival, it's been a privilege to connect Wells Fargo with Rose Festival honors. Wells Fargo's vision and values align with Rose Festival honors efforts focused on community and support of women, as well as the positive impact of mentorship. As a woman in leadership position, I am honored by the opportunity to mentor others. I've been fortunate enough throughout my career to meet amazing female leaders who supported me, guided me, and helped shape who I am today. One of those women is Shabri Vickers. Shabri was awarded the 2021 Woman of Influence Award by the Portland Business Journal and the 2021 Hometown Hero Award by Portland Trailblazers and Directors Mortgage. Called one of Portland's super connectors by Portland Monthly magazine, Shabri's passion for community is demonstrated by her advocacy with many organizations where she champions the ideas of equity and justice to enhance access and contribute towards tangible social change for the benefit of all. She currently serves as the Vice President Public Affairs Employee Initiatives leader for Wells Fargo and Company and leads the company's public affairs employee engagement initiatives. Today, I have the honor and privilege of introducing your keynote speaker, my friend and colleague, Shabri Vickers.
Thank you so much, Cassie. Good afternoon, everyone. I first want to start with a thank you to Major General Bissell. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your inspiring words today. And a huge congratulations to Neil Jane. Thank you for the work that you do in the community. You are absolutely an inspiration and the first emerging leader, so congrats to you. And of course, to Governor Roberts. Thank you for continuing to be an inspiration, not only to the folks in the room today, but of course, as you know, to Tracy Curtis, our Region Bank President, who loves you and is always excited to see you honored. So we're so honored to be here with you today. So good afternoon, as Cassie mentioned, I'm Shabri Vickers. I use she, her pronouns, and I am honored to be here with you today. And as I begin, I just want to take a quick moment to send some collective energy to those actively dealing with harm and oppression right now. The endless news cycles sharing unsettling updates and issues that resonate with us at a core level make it hard to really gather in earnest and to focus on the moment that we're in right now together. And I want to remind us that in times of deep turmoil and in times of joy, our ancestors walk with us. So I encourage you to draw strength today from those you honor in your life. Now, when I spoke to the Rose Festival team in preparation for today's event, they shared with me that the theme was the 2022 Honors Luncheon was leadership, empowering women, and encouraging mentorship. And as I listened to Barbara Roberts' video, I was like gobsmacked at how many of the same themes that you mentioned that are in my speech today, and we haven't talked before this, so it was meant to be. So thank you to the team that brought us together. I'm excited to share a bit about my own leadership and mentorship story with you and to encourage you to discover and develop your own personal story. My goal in doing this is to ensure that you are aware of the power contained within your story, because your story is your truth. And amplifying your truth will shift the power dynamics in society today. And as that continues and as that occurs in our communities, we come closer to liberation. We empower each other to be our true selves at any table we might be leading from, and to those who mentor us, and ultimately to those we mentor. Growing up, my constant companion, besides my younger brother and sister, was whichever stack of books I could pile up next to me. While growing up here in Northeast Portland, I was used to all the rain our beautiful Oregon climate brings us, and it was also an excuse to lock myself away in my room and get lost in a stack of Shel Silverstein, Babysitter's Club, R.L. Stein's Goosebumps, and Judy Blume, just to name a few. This desire to read as much as I could at any given time meant I kept a book with me on road trips or any time I wanted to shield myself from the reality of the outside world. What I realize now that I hadn't at the time was that my voracious need to consume more books and more stories was both a chance to escape the realities of deep generational poverty and an unending search to see my story reflected in something that was in print. To let me know that I wasn't alone and that what I had been going through might possibly end with a whimsical, happy ending, like so many of the stories and the characters in my books. I was born in 1984, and as you might imagine, it was not exactly easy to find my life reflected in many children or young adult books in the late 80s and 90s. But nonetheless, I read and searched, and read and searched, and spent countless lunch periods reading in the library of whichever school I attended at the time. I know now that was an attempt to shield myself from so much that felt inevitable while my family battled with homelessness, deep food insecurity, and unresolved mental health issues. As a young Black and Indigenous girl raised by a single mother who was attempting to finish her degree with 3 young children, books were also a way to stay occupied and out of my busy mother's way. Now, as an adult and a mother of a 17-year-old myself, Layla, reading and gathering insights from stories and finding information and inspiration in those stories and perspectives continue to give me strength. The strength I need when attempting to lead in arenas that were not built with me in mind. The strength I need when attempting to push back against narratives that are based in ideals that do not honor the inherent brilliance found within the lived experiences of people who have been marginalized by society. Books and stories continue to be a part of my life even today. I have been a part of a fantastic, amazing book club for well over a decade alongside some incredibly powerful women who have now become some of my best friends, and women who I learn from on a daily basis. The books and discussions that we've had over the years have been a part of my growth as a young professional, as a mother, and as a community leader. I encourage you to find those people who will help you see in a wider, bigger, and more expansive way. As a child, books helped me do this, and as an adult, they still do. It is why I serve on the board of Literary Arts, an organization committed to engage readers, support writers, and inspire the next generation with great literature. So I'll ask you to study what drives you in your daily life. What brings about joy, curiosity, and cognitive dissonance in your life? Become an expert on sharing your own experience to ensure that others are able to see themselves reflected and to know that they are not alone. One of the ways I've been able to gather a deeper understanding of leadership is through my work in the nonprofit, public, and private sectors. And I know that without question, each of these sectors have taught me important perspectives and given me myriad vantage points by which to witness other stories and, of course, to share my own. Occasionally, it's as simple as adding my thoughts during a meeting, and other times, it includes a longer, deeper connection to my story in a boardroom during a discussion. Find ways to engage with leaders, not only for mentorship, but to help lead discussions and impact decisions within your schools and workplace. As you progress in jobs and establish careers, I encourage you to find the employee resource groups or team member networks or affinity groups that may be offered. And if there isn't one yet available that meets your needs, work to establish one. You can absolutely do that. Gathering around a shared identity does more than simply helping you find others who may look or experience similar life events as you. It allows you to discover others who can stand with you as you all keep progress moving forward. You might also find natural mentors in these spaces. You might be able to encourage someone with your story and empower them to ask the hard questions and to seek deeper understanding as they lead in spaces where they hold power. We collectively become better, able to hold institutions and workplaces accountable when your network deepens and you become aware of additional insights surrounding you. I appreciate author and writer Lovey Ajayi as she shares, build relationships before you need them. Your network should be set and paid attention to before you need to activate it. Deepen friendships before you need shoulders to lean on. Anything else is transactional. And remember, when you are there, do not be afraid to take up space. Because there are so many important women in this room, I'm going to say it one more time. Do not be afraid to take up space. A favorite author of mine, N.K. Jemisin, said recently on a virtual panel that the profession will become better because you are there. Period. No matter what the industry may be, your added perspective brings validity to what we already know to be true, that our lived experiences matter, that our perspectives can serve to ensure our society will be formed with us in mind and with us at the helm. When I was in the midst of a career jump, I spoke with an elder in my community and shared my general trepidation with all that was unknown. And he said to me, Shabri, we need you in that seat to make decisions that have us in mind. You will make decisions that might be similar to that of a previous counterpart, but I know and trust that you will hold all of the communities and identities that you identify with central when moving forward. I can tell you that without a doubt, throughout my career, that sentiment has absolutely been true. I have had multiple occasions to offer insight that to me seemed well established in the circles I typically find myself in. However, I quickly realized that as we continue to celebrate the firsts in our communities and nation, our stories continue to be invaluable. I want you to know that our immutable truths and lived experiences will no doubt evolve and change over time as we spend time in different industries and communities moving forward. However, better recognizing the place, time, people, and activities that usher in that change will allow us to decipher some semblance of sanity in the midst of it all. Layla Delia reminds us that creating a life you love, like actually creating it for real and really loving it, will require that you always seek to grow and expand your heart, soul, mind, and vibration to new levels. This includes the theories and learnings that you are gathering right now while in school or in the workplace. And as you grow into your careers and as you work to dismantle systems of oppression in whichever industry you might enter, know that you can be further informed by others who are like you and those who are different from you. I believe that if we engage our workplaces with a lingering curiosity of what we know to be true and what is purported to be true, we gain greater wisdom. So I encourage you to ask more questions. I have been known to say and continue to believe that organizations move in the direction of questions that are being asked. Those organizations can also be the less formal groups we associate with, and those we work and encourage to change. I challenge you to ask questions of those to whom you are like. Why do we believe this way? So why have we always done it this way? How did we get here? And when you are around groups different from your own, listen. Do less interrupting and listen. There you can be informed not only of their perspectives, but you might be able to discover aspects of your truth that they have yet to even consider. you will gain further knowledge as to when and why you might choose to share your story. Your experiences, those good and bad and indifferent, have value. You choosing when to use them is where your power and your capacity to shift the power dynamic in a room comes into play. Sharing your story about your ability to overcome adversity because of oppression is certainly something to hold space for. And I challenge you to hold on to the inherent beauty and brilliance represented within our communities and cultures that do not circle around adversity alone. Knowing when, which aspect of, and how you share your story will increase your capacity to both be understood and to lead effectively. Your resilience and vibrant perspectives can offer fresh, innovative thinking and a different approach to sometimes stalled and stagnant business and organizational perspectives. And so I encourage you today to remember the stories of your ancestors, to hold true to your lived experiences, and to import them as you determine best while in your schools or in your workplace. Your story is without a doubt powerful. You are powerful. We need you, and I in particular need you as partners in our work towards building a society with more women who are empowered and women who help mentor the next generation of leaders. In whichever industry, sector, or organization you find yourself in, know that your truth and the amplification of it will get us closer to our preferred future state. One where more women lead and are empowered to lead, and one where leaders intentionally work with future generations to share their truths and in turn make space for all of us to amplify our truth. I will leave you with these two quotes. We're here for a reason. I believe a bit of the reason is to throw little torches out to people to lead them through the dark. Whoopi Goldberg gave us that. And from a favorite, Oprah, she said, a mentor is someone who allows you to see the hope inside yourself. A mentor is someone who allows you to know that no matter how dark the night, in the morning, joy will come. A mentor is someone who allows you to see the higher part of yourself when sometimes it becomes hidden to your own view. Finally, I look forward to learning about your truth and continuing to learn how to better share mine to evaluate all of our voices because the world needs us, especially now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vickers. Today's program reminds me that leadership starts with inspiration, and inspiration to make something better. It requires nurturing support, and sometimes that support comes from unexpected places like this event. If you heard me tell my story before, you already know I'm a princess. I was a staff member on the Rose Festival Foundation as an intern. I'm the youngest to have been elected to the board of directors. I've served on many committees, and I've served as a committee chair. And this year, I was invited to join the executive committee as well. And to top that off, I was honored as the 2021 Director of the Year in October, which I'm very proud of. Thank you. So needless to say, with all of that, I am personally grateful for what Rose Festival has provided with the nurturing support and a path to leadership roles. And through those roles, I'm able to help our community and to get to a better place for us to live, work, play, and visit. I'm honored to have these experiences and to continue to be able to give back and grow in this organization. And I'm thankful for the different perspectives that the Rose Festival has given not only to me, but it creates lasting impact to women, not only women, but all Oregonians, and for that for over a century. One of the greatest gifts I received as Metro West Princess was while being on the court was the connection with my assigned mentor, Susan Burke. Having a business leader like Susan, as I navigate my career path, has been invaluable. I still talk to her to this day, able to give great advice, and it's something meaningful that I didn't have before the Rose Festival Court. So this program continues to provide critical connections to nurture the development of young women and professionals. The court scholarship that I received, thanks to the generosity of the Randall Group, was the same one that the 2020 court received this year. And it was such an important piece of funding for my college education and led me to even more scholarships as doors continued to open. The Rose Festival has been a pioneer in providing funding support for higher education for women since 1932. While I don't want to talk too much about the pandemic, I do want to recognize the last 2 years. When I think back to March 2020, which feels like a lifetime ago at this point, I think about when we were at our board meeting, we were recognizing the concern that the uncertainty the pandemic could have, remember, could at the time, on the Rose Festival. And that was shortly 2 months away where we were going to have our next festival. And much of the planning was already in full swing. We already had half of our court already announced. Our committees were meeting to put on the huge festival, and in a matter of days, everything just stopped. So what I remember in the first few weeks of the pandemic was being sent home from work. All professional sports stopped, and volunteering was canceled at the time. I personally felt like I lost my identity. For those who know me, and you've ever talked to me, if I'm not working, I'm volunteering, and if I'm not volunteering, I'm watching something with sports. So when that got taken away, I was like, who am I? I'm lost. It was tough. So all I wanted to do was help and do something to get something back. I wanted to be a part of something. So of course, in Rose Festival fashion, we moved forward to put on Portland's official festival, and we served the community in the safest way we could. In 2020, we still selected 15 Rose Festival princesses, which were awarded $52,500 in scholarships in total. And we did it again in 2021, and yes, of course, we did it again in 2022, and which our current court, who's all here today, received. We offered the community new events from the comfort of their home by having the Grand Petite Parade, which was a virtual parade that had submissions of shoebox floats from our community, marching bands, and other Rose Festival submissions and parade favorites. We had over 160 entries for the Grand Petite Parade and over 19,000 viewers for the broadcast. We also had the porch parade, where over 625 participants registered to show off their porch designs or rose gardens, and our map to where to visit where participants had reached over 80,000 clicks. So in addition to those events, we had Virtual Fleet Week, which shared 55 stories from our military professionals and offered a virtual opening night's concert for the public. We held 2 successful auctions. We heard the stories of Marshall Randall and Paul Knowles, our Rose Festival honorees for 2020 and 2021. And to close out each Rose Festival season, we crowned the Queen of Rosaria, which, by the way, all those events are free to participate in thanks to sponsors and donors. The worldwide pandemic obviously altered a lot of the things that we do today. It made us think about how we prioritize things, how we work, and even had us evaluating how much toilet paper we really needed. But it did not alter our spirit, our mission, or deter us from delivering Portland's official festival. It didn't alter our memories of the attending, or being in parades with our families, or going on a ride at City Fair, or attending your first outdoor concert at Country Fest, or the traditions of meeting friends and families on the waterfront to tour a Navy ship, or participating in the treasure hunt, or volunteering to decorate one of our floats, be a parade marshal or a judge, or racing to claim your seat to see the incredible opening night fireworks show. So while life after the pandemic may look a little different, the spirit of the Rose Festival has only increased. We see it here when the court is bringing the spirit and excitement of the Rose City reunion to others by visiting retirement homes, hospitals, and other community organizations. When I think about the Rose City reunion, I think of a few things. One, the court. It's special to me, and as a true insider, I know firsthand how special the court is to our community. It highlights the next generation of leaders, and it has who have huge aspirations and a commitment to our community. The second is I think of all the volunteers. who are part of the Rose Festival, who want to make our community a better place, from our board of directors, the Rosarians, and our day of event volunteers. People give up their free time. Right now I'm on vacation to volunteer, right? People give up their free time to be a part of Rose Festival. They want to donate to their community to ensure that children and adults can experience the Rose Festival spirit and make sure they have their own memories and traditions. And third, I think of our community. I think of the law enforcement officers, our firefighters and EMS workers and professionals who work behind the scenes so that we can enjoy and live in the moment. I think of the excitement our community has when their favorite parade entry goes by. I think of the couple on their first date singing and dancing at City Fair. I think of the endless photos of good times and memories. I think of the pride our community has in our court, our band entries and drill teams. I think how great it is that we not only get to see this unfold, but it truly takes, unfold, but truly take part in the festival. The Rose Festival has something for everyone, an event, a tradition, or a memory that means something meaningful to that individual. It's what makes the Rose City Reunion all the more exciting. What memory, impact, or tradition will you make this Rose Festival season? Earlier, we heard from Governor Roberts and say that it was that if you want something to happen, you got to step up and make it happen. I happen to agree with that. And that mentality, and I lead with example. So I made a meaningful donation to the Portland Rose Festival Foundation in honor of all past and current court members. So I ask that you follow my lead, and let's step up together now because we all want to see Rose Festival happen. Thank you for joining me and making a contribution today. And as a reminder, the QR codes are on your table and in your program, and it goes directly to our donation platform. Or you can find the donation button on the live stream link and go to rosefestival.org. I'm also grateful for all the donors who have given in advance, and I especially want to acknowledge Melissa, Cassie, Natasha, Dwight, Ray, Terry, Gail, Kathy, Vicky, and the Royal Rosarians for your generous donations. Everyone who donates today is adding to our comeback story and ensuring the Rose Festival's stability for many more decades in leadership and support. Please use that QR code now. It's okay to take your phones out, give you permission, and click that donate button if you're watching virtually to make your charitable donation to the Portland Rose Festival Foundation. And if you'd like to make a gift in honor of or in memory of someone special, please feel free to do so now. Every single gift is meaningful to us, and we're grateful for all forms of support. If you're here in the room with us today and you'd like to give by check, please hand your envelope to one of the staff or board members wearing a blue blazer as you depart. I want to take one last moment to thank and congratulate our honoree. Thank you, Barbara, for being here today. And Neil, we look forward to seeing your leadership in our community grow. And congratulations on being our first emerging leader recipient. To our presenting sponsor, Wells Fargo, thank you for making the event possible and for offering Sharbrief time for our keynote speaker. Thank you to the U.S. Army for supporting today, and thank you, thank you, Major General Basil, for coming back to Oregon to speak with us. I want to acknowledge the 5 premier sponsors of the Rose Festival as well: Spirit Mountain Casino, Alaska Airlines, Regents Blue Cross Blue Shield of Oregon, Fred Meyers, and Care Oregon. And thank you to our supporting sponsor, the Wine Group, who has a special gift from the Chloe Wine Collection for each of you over 21 to take home and enjoy. So please make sure you pick up your bottle on the way out. And before you go, on behalf of the Rose Festival Honors Committee, led by Chairwoman Natasha Holstein, on behalf of the Portland Rose Festival Foundation Board of Directors and staff, I want to truly thank you for being here today and your presence and your generosity to support and always support the Rose Festival. This is a fantastic way to kick off our reunion, and I look forward to seeing you at the Rose Festival later this month. Thank you, and good afternoon.